So, one thing that you've mentioned before, Andre, that I thought was really fascinating was the idea that, men and women, obviously they're biochemically different, but like you talk about some specific hormones, or you talk about some specific chemical differences that really explain the behavioral differences. Can you talk more about that?
Yes, yeah, good question. The biggest one, the biggest ones, both men and women in our very own bodies genetically have literally what I call a drug of choice. The drug of choice for most men, right, the testosterone-driven bodies, the drug of choice is dopamine.
Okay.
Dopamine. Men are hunting and searching and fighting for dopamine all the time. Dopamine is going to the gym, having sex, driving the car, just driving the car. Dopamine, winning at anything, whether it's a game or a contract, negotiation, like winning creates dopamine. Competing, women hate competition, men love competition. Creates dopamine. We love that stuff, right? So that's what we're after all the time. You see men, just typically it's a lot to do with their physicality as well, like moving their bodies and jumping off the ceiling or whatever. Like dopamine. Watch teenage boys. Dopamine. They do crazy things, chasing the rush of dopamine, a man's drug of choice. What is it for a woman? Oxytocin. And women get oxytocin from connection, emotional connection, touching, physical connection. Touch a woman. It takes it's less than 15 seconds. If a woman is upset and squirrely, that happens when they get overwhelmed, right? Touch her arms. For my wife, I bring her in, I touch her lower back. Within 10 to 12 seconds, the rush of oxytocin will come into her body. She catches her breath. My woman's back. Oxytocin, the drug of choice for women, oxytocin. Hugging, cuddling, talking makes them feel safe, increase connection, oxytocin. It's interesting because back for generations, women in groups, when the men were hunting, that's how they felt safe. They stuck together, talked together, did the laundry together, raised the children together. Oxytocin flying everywhere, right? Keeps them calm, keeps them healthy, keeps them lovely and connected, and giving and loving, all the goodies that we want. So 2 different machines, right? So all this to say, this is interesting. Ooh, get this, ready? Her oxytocin kills his dopamine.
What does that mean? Like when she feels connected? Go ahead.
Well, I'll give you an example. So you have your girlfriend, you decide you're going to take her for a long weekend, right?
Right.
You're going to go out of town, bed at breakfast, drive off the coast, holding hands, right? Breakfast, making love, walking in the woods, blah, right? Just the thought of this, she's flying, right? Oxytocin everywhere. Just the thought of it, right? And everything that you planned for her, she feels safe and connected, right? And blah, blah, blah. And you're willing, well, of course we like to be with women and be romantic and the man, right? But what happens is, literally, this for most men lasts about 8 hours, up to 12.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
An overwhelming amount of oxytocin will literally slowly just flatline the guy. So what happens by day 2, he's hardly talking. She's like still connecting and talking. You want a big, great weekend, and he's not responding very much. He seems distant. He's fading away. He's looking out the window. He's like, has nothing to say. And she's convinced that something's wrong. She's convinced something's wrong because yesterday he was so loving and touchy and flatlining. He needs to go out, run, go to the gym and get some dopamine for him to come back and go, what's up, babe? And you know what I mean? Get it going again. So not understanding that is very confusing for women to watch him literally fade in front of her, and she'll take that personally. Something's wrong, something she said, something she did, and then we'll start questioning, all of her action and ruin the weekend. So by the time you get to the Sunday night, he's not even talking in the car anymore. He seems to be completely 60 miles away. She'll take that personally. And in a sense, all he wants, this is going to sound terrible, but all he wants is some space. He needs his space, and we'll drop her off and go right to the gym, or see his buddies, or run outside, or whatever, you know what I mean? So how do you not take that personally, ladies? It's a tough one, but if you understand a man's physiology is to go, what's up, babe? Come back, run, boom, run, and he's his best when he's full of dopamine. When he's fun, he's connected, he's, you know, in your face, he's loving, he's touching, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he'll need to go away. So not to take that personally, it's huge. Again, it's another way where women take men's action to mean what they don't mean. She seems not to be the priority in his life. Dopamine. That's his priority for him to be able to be good, healthy, clear, conquering, a man. Chemistry. Who knew?